After the pain, after the rain, after the shame, you will live again, you will dream again, you will breathe again, you will live again, dream again. Breathe again. Oh.
Hello and welcome to Breathe Again. I'm your host, Nicole Cleveland, and I'm so very excited. Why are you excited, Nicole? Because today starts our series, Starting Over After Divorce. Today is the very first episode, and I want you to eavesdrop on the highs and the lows of starting over after a divorce. You may be in the beginning stages of your divorce, in the middle, or you may be at the end. If you're asking, how do I put my life back together after it's been torn apart, you're in the right place. If you've asked, how do I overcome a shattered heart? You're in the right place. Well, let me tell you, you are going to hear real, authentic self talks along with conversations with divorcees that have rediscovered who they are and put their life back together again. I can raise my hand first, but we're going to tell you this and how we did this, one heartstring at a time. You ready? Let's get started. All right. So I want you to know two things. Two things. You are not what happened to you. And two, you will survive. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. One, you are not what happened to you. And two, you will survive. Well, how you know that? Well, honey, I am you. My name is Nicole Cleveland, and I know a little something about starting over. Getting divorced after 20 years, it left me in a fog. I had to learn how to rebuild my life. And I did that one decision at a time. Listen as I share my journey of healing and becoming whole. And as promised, I plan to share the good, the bad, the funky, and the ugly because it's not all good. It's a lot of bad. It's a lot of funky, and it's a little bit of ugly mixed up in there too. So, a little bit about me. I'm a single mother to my three piece. I call them a three piece, chicken piece. They range in ages from, well, my oldest will be 31 this year. My middle child will be 23 and my baby will be 17. So 31, 23, and 17. Yes, 31 years old, right? They're my heartbeats. I read somewhere how one person described their children as literally their heart in physical form. And that kind of sums it up. I love my babies. They're no longer babies, but I love them. I was chosen to be their mother, and I love them so very much. I was married in my early 20s, and I loved being married. I absolutely loved it. You see, I didn't see thriving married couples growing up. So all I really wanted was to be married, raise kids in my home, raise kids with both parents in the home. That was very important to me because I didn't see that. I wanted to grow in ministries. And as I got older, I realized my passion was to help other couples restore their marriage after an affair. And that's what I was doing. I was walking in my purpose. I wrote a few books, hit bestseller status, was in ministry and helping other women by sharing my story of how God restored my marriage after an affair that produced a child. And there were so many women out here dealing with the sting and the betrayal in their marriage. And I was really honored. I was honored that God chose me to help other women. Then, 10 years after the first affair, the one God healed me from and restored my marriage, 10 years after that, the wind was knocked out of me. It was a gut punch. I was facing divorce. My husband at the time didn't want to be married to me anymore, and he left. So if I had some sound effects, I would insert a car crash, boom, like a head on collision. because it was a freaking 10-car pileup. It was a crash in my mind. I didn't know what was going on. I was a hot mess. Because you see, 6 months prior to my ex leaving, my mother had a massive heart attack in front of me and died. So this was the wrong time to be doing this. This was the wrong time. It was the absolute worst time this could possibly happen. I wanted to say, dude, look, can we like, I know you're going to do this, right? So can we just put it off or something, right? But it happened and I had to deal with it. She had a massive heart attack in front of me. So imagine that. Imagine still mourning the loss of your mother. Imagine dealing with, the funeral and the loss and the emptiness and the grief because you really never get over a parent passing away. You just don't. You don't get over it. You deal with it, it gets better, but you're never really over it. Like I'm still dealing with that. And that was in 2013. So that was almost 8 years later. And I still miss my mama. I still miss her. I still want to call her and talk to her and tell her different things. So I'm still dealing with that. And then my husband leaves, right? I could have lost my mind. I almost lost my mind. Yeah, because there was so much I was already dealing with. And now here comes this. But nope, it was my reality. I really wanted it to be a dream. I was pinching myself something terrible. I should have a bunch of marks on me because I really wanted to wake up from this nightmare. But it was not a nightmare, it was reality. And the world as I knew it, it was no more. I had to do the work to heal and become whole. So during this series, I'll be sharing my healing journey over the past 7 years and what worked for me and the guests I'll be chatting with because it was something else. It was something else. God bless those that get over it in 2 months, 2 weeks, and go on and be in another marriage or another relationship. That's just not my story. That's not my story. I really had to deal with some things on the inside of me. And I'll be sharing that. I'll be sharing the triggers that when he left, what that did to me and how it kind of went back to my childhood. And it really brought up some issues and some trauma that I never healed from as a child. And so we'll deal with that on the show as well, because it was more than a divorce. It was more than being abandoned. It was more than being left, being walked away on, and feeling like I was no good or I was not worthy of love. It was so much more than just my marriage. I really had to look in the mirror and deal with Nicole. And that was hard. That was hard on so many levels because I couldn't lie to myself. A lot of times we lie to ourselves and we make it seem like it's something when it's totally something else. And so I did my work. I did my work. And I just would love to help you do your work. I'm whole today because I did my work. And so that's what I'll be doing. I'll be sharing those things. Um, I'll provide some comfort on some bad days because, baby, you're going to have some bad days. You will have some bad days and you will be able to relate. You'll be able to relate with the thoughts, and you'll be able to relate with the feelings, and you'll be able to relate with some of the things that we go through, because I can tell you one thing, we all may be different, right? I don't care what race you are. I don't care where you live, where you are socially, economically. I don't care what field you're in. If you're a professional, if you're not a professional, entry level to the CEO, right? One thing I know for sure and two for certain is that we all hurt. We all hurt. We all bleed and we all hurt. And pain, baby, is pain. It's pain. No matter what you look like and where you live and how much money you make, pain is the pain that we deal with. And some of us deal with it very differently. very differently. And so we'll be chatting it up. And if you've gone through divorce and you've come out of it and you're on the other side of it, I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I'd love to chit chat with you so you could share your story, because I do believe that we go through not for ourselves, we go through for somebody else. Right? The mission of Breathe Again really is to share that story, share that testimony, so that that next person that is where you once were does not have to feel like they are alone. They won't suffer in silence. They won't feel like they have five heads and they're a monster because of how they're feeling. Don't let them sit in the corner by themselves. You know what they say, the baby don't be in the corner, right? I'm corny too, y'all. I'm really corny, but it's okay. It's who I am. But my prayer for this series, starting over after divorce, my prayer is that something is said that will help you along your journey. And listen, it's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It is truly a marathon. This is not a loss. What you've gone through, it's not a loss. It's not a failure. It's a lesson. And I want you to hear that. And I want you to hear that clearly, that it's not a loss and you are not a failure. It is a lesson that you are going to learn. And in life, we have to learn from our lessons, right? The lesson is supposed to teach us something. Um, it is supposed to teach us to be better. Once we know better, we should do better, right? We should grow through what we go through. We should grow through what we go through. So give yourself permission to hurt, give yourself permission to grieve, and mourn the end of your marriage. You'll get through this. I'm not sure what phase you're in. I'm not sure if you're in the beginning stages, in the middle, or at the end. I promise you that something is going to be said on this podcast that's going to resonate with you. So, what I want you to do is, I want you to subscribe to the podcast so you can stay updated and you'll receive the notifications when we have a new episode. You want to stay connected with me on my social media platforms. You can find me at Nicole C Online, at Nicole C Online. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can follow me over there and we can connect. And I promise you, I'm not going to spam you. I promise you, I'm not going to give you lots of fluff, but I promise that you'll get an encouraging word here and there. And if you go to my website, you can grab my free gift, NicoleCOnline.com, NicoleCOnline.com. Go on over there, subscribe, and make sure that you come back and you listen to our future episodes, our chats, our conversations, because that's what it's going to be. We're going to chat it up just like old friends. All right. All right. Go on and listen to episode 2.
After the pain, after the rain, after the shame, you will live again, you will dream again, you will